So I was in really bad shape.
Yeah, they kept coming in and telling you that it would be soon, and then eventually they said the only doctor there had gone home.
Yeah.
And they couldn't give you any more morphine or any pain reliever because a doctor
I was never given any further medication because only the doctor could prescribe medicine. I was never seen by a doctor from the time I went into that surgical hospital.
So they come in and they say, look, the doctor's gone home, you can't have the surgery today.
Right. This is about 8:30 at night now.
And they leave, the person leaves, and...
Yeah, and I turned to my wife, my wife tells me this was the worst day of her life, too, because here she is watching her husband. She's just losing her husband. My wife was an attorney then.
Yeah.
And she, a woman of some capability and power and influence in the world, and to watch your husband just gradually die in front of your eyes and nobody cares, I said to my wife, it's time for us to say goodbye. And she got up from the chair, which was next to the bed, and she put her arms around me and kissed me and held me. And we told each other how much we loved each other. And every time I go down this road, it makes me sad, but, to say goodbye, I mean, and we knew it was forever. And I knew that when you die, I mean, I knew this absolutely positively, when you die, that's it. There is nothing else. This is what I knew. You're a biochemical organism made up of 75 trillion cells or whatever, and when the organism ceases to function, the biochemical, functions begin to fail, and you lose consciousness, and then you're dead, and then your body rots, and that's all there is. And anything that would be left of you would be like maybe your kids or something would remember you for a generation, or maybe if you made something like a bridge or some artwork, you'd be remembered for a little while. But that was it. I mean, I knew that, absolutely. And everybody I knew that. This was a certainty. So when we said goodbye, I was saying goodbye to oblivion. And eventually she was crying so hard she sat back down, and I closed my eyes and went into unconsciousness.
And before you went into unconsciousness, you felt a bit of relief, too, that you could escape this horrible pain, and was there a feeling of sort of calm about it as well to you?
Yeah, I wanted to die because since they said there wasn't going to be a doctor until the next day, and I had felt for many hours like I was dying. And medically, I had good reason to feel that way because I really was dying. And the pain, which had gone from a pain that, I was a big, strong guy, 38 years old, had played football in high school and stuff like that. This pain threw me down to the ground, kicking and screaming and yelling. And from that point on, it just went worse and worse and worse and worse. I was ready to be out, I was ready to be gone because I can't do this anymore. You can do it for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, but I was at the point of like close to 10 hours, and I'd had it. So I was ready to go. And so here, people ask me all the time, were you dead? Well, it's an impossible question to answer because I had no medical attention. No one ever took my temperature. Nobody ever put the blood pressure cuff on me or anything. So nobody was examining me. But the fact of the matter was, it's a ridiculous argument. I was dying. As much as anybody can be dying in that state.
So you go into unconsciousness, and then what? The shock of your life.
To my complete surprise, I was standing next to the bed that I had been lying in, and there's my wife, and I'm standing up, and I know the situation. I'm completely clear about my problem, and I know I have to have surgery, and that I'm sick, and I have a perforated one, and all that stuff. But I feel pretty good. Matter of fact, parts of me feel quite good, better than they've ever felt in my life, really alive. And I try to communicate with my wife, who it appeared to me was ignoring me.
You were next to her?
I was on the other side of the bed from her.
Okay.
And I thought she was pretending that she could neither hear me nor see me. Of course, in fact, she couldn't hear me or see me. And then I realized that the bed that I had been in was occupied with a thing. And as I examined the thing, which was covered up to the neck with a sheet, and bent over and looked at the face, which was turned away from me, turned towards my wife, I realized that it looked remarkably like me. Now, this was all very confusing, because how did somebody get in my bed who looked like me? Because it wasn't me, because I was alive. And I knew that the thing in the bed was, an inanimate object. I knew that about it. And so, you know, part of me was like, that's me, but how could it be me? Because this is impossible.
Because here I am.
Yeah, and so I couldn't figure this out. So I turned to my roommate, who was a 68-year-old, very kind Frenchman by the name of Monsieur Florent, and I yelled and screamed in his face to find an answer to this problem. And he looked through me without blinking or any response at all, just as if I wasn't screaming in his face. Now, I didn't know why my wife would ignore me, but I couldn't figure out why Monsieur Florent would ignore me. I mean, and so I heard people outside the room calling me by name. And so I went over to the doorway of the room, and I said, are you from the doctor? I'm really sick. I have to have surgery. You know, I've been waiting a long time. I'm really in bad shape. And they said things like, we've been waiting for you a long time. It's time for you to go. Hurry up. We can't wait any longer. We know all about you. Let's go. Things like that. So I thought that meant, yes, they were from the doctor to take me to surgery.
And they spoke English, and nobody else was speaking English, did
Yeah,
you?
I thought that was very weird. Because everybody else in the hospital spoke with a very thick French accent,
Right.
or no English at all. But these people were, well, and also I thought, they want me to walk to surgery? You know, but after what I'd experienced in this hospital, okay, it's,
Hey.
you know, it's the way they do things here. So I left the room, and when I left the room, I had a really bad feeling about leaving the room, because the room was bright and clear and light. The room was very bright. There was a lot of light in the room. And the hallway was hazy. It wasn't dark. It was just foggy and hazy and dim and very unclear. But I went with these people, and I had a strong sense that I was leaving that room forever. And we continued on a journey that was ridiculously long.
What were they saying to you? They were saying, just come closer, and you kept following? Or what were they saying to you as you were
They were
following
very
them?
insistent. Hurry up, we've got to go. You know, we've waited for you so long. You know, we've got to take you there. They were very insistent and very clear about what they want to do, and there was about a dozen of them, and they were around
What did they
me.
look like? Were they close to you?
Men and
or?
women, very, very pale. Everything was gray. The clothing was totally plain and gray. Almost could have been like hospital scrubs, only pale gray. They were all adults, men and women, and they were very pale. And I mean, they weren't particularly scary at this point.
Right.
And as we went along, they became crueler and more insistent. And
When you say crueler, what
let's
were
go, come on, you're slowing down, keep going, keep moving.
And they made fun of you, too.
Yeah, and they started ridiculing me and things like that. And I started to get really scared, but where was I to go? We were in this endless space, moving along, and I didn't know where we were going, and I'm beginning to realize that this is not going to work out good. This isn't the hospital. They aren't from a doctor. I mean, I'm beginning, this is all dawning on me that this is, something's going very wrong here, but there's nothing for me to do. So finally, we're in real darkness now, and I said to him, I'm not going any further, which was a bluff because I had no sense of orientation which way to go. And they said, well, you're almost there, and they started pull at me, and I tried to defend myself. And although I just had the worst day of my life and had been dying, I felt very strong. I wasn't the least bit tired. But the fight was, the sensations of the fight were just like if it had happened in this world. You know, when I hit them, I felt it. When they harmed me, I felt it. But they had no sensation. No matter what I did to them, it had no effect on them.